Hey everyone, Sarah here. I am back with another driver deep dive video for you, and in this week's edition we're going to be talking about a duo who had a whole lot to do with last year's Drivers' Championship but who were not actually in the running to win it themselves. We are of course talking about the number 2 drivers at Mercedes and Red Bull, Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez. Before I get started into today's topic, I do want to say a huge welcome and thank you to all the new subscribers that have been joining me, especially over the past couple of months since the new year. It is fantastic as someone who just does this as a bit of crack in my spare time to see folks enjoying the videos, commenting, liking and subscribing. So thank you to all of you for watching, and if you're not yet subscribed, make sure you do that. Go ahead, do it right now. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in my broader what do F1 drivers do in their spare time video, but Sergio Perez is one of the most well-liked drivers in Formula 1, and he's also been around for a lot longer than I think people realise. He got his first race start back in 2010, so already he's got more than 10 years in the game, and at times he's had to fight for his spot. And I think it says a lot that over that time and all those challenges, he is still so smiley, so passionate. He doesn't seem to have like major beef with anyone, and let's be honest, he's often overperformed like versus people's expectations of him, particularly when he was at smaller teams prior to obviously taking on the seat at Red Bull. And to be honest, even the fact that Red Bull opted to give Sergio that seat versus all of the other people that they could have chosen says a lot about him and his ability. Obviously, they have their own reasons for doing it. Not everyone is able to pair well with Max Verstappen. But with that being said, they picked Sergio and they essentially saved him from not having a Formula 1 seat. So I think people, he needs to be sort of like given his flowers. Not only is he well liked, but he's also a really great driver. As far as social media goes, Checo is a dad and a busy guy, so I'm not surprised that he's not super active. However, he does have an Instagram that he does post kind of semi-regularly on, so let's take a look at what he likes to post on. Something that I was very interested to see is that Sergio just recently posted that he is now a brand partner with Patron Tequila. And I'm gonna be honest, I kind of love that for him. Like, it's such an unexpected combination. They are sort of a Mexican family oriented brand that, you understand from that point of view where the synergies are, but he just doesn't I don't think Sergio and think tequila, and I just thought that was such an awesome partnership. He kind of teased what they're going to have going on in 2022 because obviously they're a new partner for this season for him, but I'm really curious to see what kind of promotions they pull off together. I feel like he could do some really fun stuff with that partnership, and I think Sergio seems like the kind of guy that would just be up for it, just up for trying things, not taking himself too seriously. Very, very curious to see how that plays out. On the flip side, as I mentioned, he is a dad, and aside from, when he's not busy doing photo shoots with tequila brands, he does often post photos of him hanging out with his kids, and I love to see it, to be honest. It's a side of modern Formula 1 drivers that I think is really cool. Not everyone opts in to share their kids' lives with, all of their millions of fans, and that's absolutely fair enough, but I will say I do like to see it when they are comfortable with it. It's always very cute photos of Checo and his kids. You may not know this because he doesn't post about it much. In fact, he doesn't really post about football in general from what I can see on his Instagram, but Checo is a massive football fan, and actually a really interesting fact about how he got his car number 11 is essentially he was so inspired by Ivan Zamorano that he took his jersey number and made it his car number. There's countless stories of, really interesting backgrounds to why drivers have the car numbers that they do. Sometimes it's very boring, but I feel like this is one of the really cool ones that he took the inspiration from another sports person and decided to make it his car number. That's pretty cool. And he is also very close friends with Javier Hernandez. He used to play for Manchester United and is now playing for LA Galaxy. So he's really tapped into the football scene and he's very passionate. And yeah, what a cool fact about his car number. Let's talk about Valtteri Bottas, the other very important number 2 driver from last year's Driver Championship. You may argue one of the less successful ones because, let's be honest, Max and Checo, pretty awesome team. All of that aside, towards the end of his time with Mercedes, Valtteri became essentially like the TikTok king of Formula 1, and I just had to start off with that because aside from like Kimi Räikkönen or Sebastian Vettel, I'm pretty sure you couldn't think of anyone less likely to be the king of Formula 1 TikTok than Valtteri Bottas. But nonetheless, it was him, and he seemingly got like a really big kick out of it actually. And when he was finishing up with Mercedes at the end of last season, they actually made a compilation of Valtteri's best TikToks on their main channel, and it is just, some of them are just absolutely golden. I'll be really intrigued to see if he carries this on with Alfa Romeo, because if you're on F1 Twitter or if you're following Mercedes on Instagram or indeed TikTok, you'll know that they are sort of at the forefront of like the F1 meme culture that has become a staple of the social media platforms for these teams over the past couple of seasons. And AlphaTauri aren't quite up there with the heavy hitters in that area, so I'm going to be very curious to see if he gives up on the whole TikTok thing or if he tries to carry it over to his new team. Despite spending 5 seasons at arguably the biggest team in Formula 1 in Mercedes, Valtteri isn't actually big on posting about brand partnerships, and it's kind of just interesting to see that some of the F1 drivers really lean into this part of the sport and some of them just don't. I guess maybe Valtteri didn't have to, and he kind of had more choice around it because Mercedes, I'm sure, never ever struggle for sponsors and sponsorship money. But he does have a brand partnership with a brand called Polar, who make like GPS wearables and sports watches and things like that. So he has posted about that, but again, only a couple of times. He's not really heavy on the partnership scene. As far as Valtteri's Instagram goes, if he's not posting about Formula 1, you're 99% guaranteed that you're going to get some sort of cycling content from him. He is obsessed with cycling. He's actually competed in the sport, and I mean, I'm sure it helps having an Olympian cyclist as your girlfriend when you're training. It's got to be a pretty big benefit, I would say. But even aside from that, he just seems to get huge enjoyment from it, and he snapped some pretty awesome photos of just landscapes and views that he's managed to encounter during his time on the bike, and I'm going to pop some of them into the video here for you because they are absolutely fab. Another sport that Valtteri is very passionate about but that he doesn't really ever actually mention that much, so you may not know about it, is ice hockey, and he's actually the 3rd largest owner or stakeholder in a Finnish ice hockey team called the Lahti Pelicans, and they actually announced this partnership back in April 2021, but I feel like it sort of flew under the radar, because, pun not intended, because I didn't know about it until I sort of like went digging through his Instagram. And it's pretty cool. Like, I always am so interested in these cases where sports stars go and, you know, buy a stake in another sports team that has essentially nothing to do with their own sport. It's just so interesting, and it's so cool that they actually have the ability to do that, and that's what they like choose to do with their money. I think if I had the option, I would absolutely be doing that. Okay everyone, that is all I have for you on Checo Perez and Valtteri Bottas for this latest driver deep dive. If you didn't already know, these videos are essentially decided by you, the viewers, so drop a comment down below to let me know which driver or drivers you want me to cover in the next video, and if you're looking for more videos like this, I'll leave the link to the playlist up here for you. Maybe it's over here. And yeah, until next time, take care and make sure to like this video if you learned something new.